At dawn on September 22, 1944, the courtyard of Rome's Forte Bravetta was still wet with night rain when Pietro Caruso, the man who once commanded Mussolini's police with absolute power, was pushed forward by two soldiers. Only months earlier, he had walked these same grounds as a feared authority, a man who gave orders without blinking, a man whose signature meant torture, deportation, or death. But now, stripped of titles, stripped of loyalty, stripped even of the illusions that once shielded him, he was shaking. The air was cold, but it wasn't the cold that made him tremble. It was the echo of the past finally catching him. The past he had tried to bury under uniforms, under paperwork, under obedience to a collapsing regime. Caruso had been responsible for the notorious Ardeatine Massacre, where 335 Italians, civilians, and political prisoners were slaughtered in caves outside Rome as a reprisal ordered by the Nazis. He helped select the names, he helped seal the caves, he helped make sure no one survived, and Italy had not forgotten. When Rome was liberated, citizens dragged him out of hiding. They confronted him, shouted at him, spat on him, and demanded justice for fathers, brothers, sons who never came home. Now here he stood, facing the very firing squad he once assigned to others. As the soldiers positioned him, Caruso's breath became shallow. Some say he mumbled prayers, others say he whispered excuses, but most witnesses agreed on one thing. He looked terrified, not of death, but of what awaited him on the other side of the truth. Behind the barricades stood a crowd, families of the murdered, partisans who had fought against his police, ordinary Romans still haunted by what his regime had done. They were silent, but their presence weighed heavier than the rifles pointed at him. The officer in charge read the sentence. Caruso tried to stand tall, but his legs wobbled. In that moment there were no speeches, no heroic last words. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't deny the charges. He simply nodded once, as if finally acknowledging that the power he abused had led him to this exact place, this exact second. The command rang out. The rifles cracked in unison. Caruso fell backward, hitting the earth he once believed he controlled. For a brief moment, smoke lingered in the air, and a collective exhale passed through the crowd, part grief, part relief, part justice finally delivered. Pietro Caruso's execution didn't erase the pain he helped create. It didn't bring back the hundreds whose bodies still lay buried in the Ardeatine caves, but it marked a turning point. It was a moment when Italy, broken by dictatorship and war, stood up and said, "Never again." And in those final seconds of Caruso's life, the world saw how absolute power, when twisted by cruelty and loyalty to darkness,